Hey, welcome back. You're watching a Freaky Friday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. I got a little out of control in that first segment because this whole Roger Stone thing is really irritating me heavily. Okay, he's a good friend, and I've been following it. And as Frankie said in the open, if it could happen to Roger Stone, who's a friend of the president, it could happen to you. And he's basically facing decades in jail for process crimes other people have barely even been prosecuted for. So we'll keep you posted on all that. And to follow up on that, joining us right here in studio is John McDonagh. John is a cab driver. He's a comic. He's also served our country in the U.S. Army. And he's a vet, and most recently featured this Sunday on CBS. John, thanks for joining us.
CBS Sunday Morning.
CBS Sunday Morning.
Yeah.
Because you have the prestigious honor of being someone that has been friends with Randy Credico, one of the key figures in the Roger case for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Randy for almost 20 years when Randy used to host a show on WBAI with Grandpa Al Lewis. And then when he ran for all different political offices. But you were just announcing on the breaking news about what happened to Roger Stone. I would just think you would have hoped President Trump would have seen what happened when you try to get involved talking to witnesses, when you have a witness that's testifying against you in an impeachment trial and you start tweeting about that witness. You think you could have learned from the Stone trial that it's best to stay away from witnesses and let them testify and not get involved with that end of it.
So is that your advice for people who follow in Roger Stone and Donald Trump's footsteps? Don't tweet it.
Don't tweet out anything. Don't text, don't email, and don't threaten witnesses, because the end result is not good, as we saw today.
Well, I think, first of all, I mean, look, a jury has spoken, but it is up for a bit of debate whether I'll take your dog away from you and you ought to do a Frank Pantangeli, how serious those threats were. I mean, you know, having known Randy longer than I've known him, how toxic their relationship with Roger. I mean, the barrage of text messages that Randy has sent to Roger over the years and Roger has sent to Randy, I mean, it's gone for years like this. I think to construe this as a threat is a little excessive, but your point's well taken. Everybody should be nice to everybody. That's the lesson I think we should, even your enemy.
That's what even Maxine Waters agrees with that. You know what I'm saying? That everyone should be nice to everyone. But so what do you think about the, Roger, I think, went down. I feel like they did him dirty on this thing. You know what I mean? No one else got in trouble in this whole thing. But Gates got off. Corsi got off. I'm saying, but other than Manafort, all these other guys turned witness and basically got off, right? Well, Michael Cohen got indicted and sentenced and put in jail for a whole host of other federal crimes. You think Randy Credico had no wrongdoing in any of this?
Well, not to the extent that was going on and Trump with WikiLeaks and stuff like that. I mean, the original time he went over to London to meet with Julian Assange was he had a letter from WBAI and he was being offered a show, Julian Assange, on WBAI. Now, Randy said he went up to the embassy, handed in the envelope, and that was his only interaction with them. But I don't see why is that a crime to go see Julian Assange? And why was it a crime that Julian Assange released these emails that they somehow he got? I mean, where is the crime? Because the New York Times and all the other newspapers repeated everything that WikiLeaks put out on that. And, you have to describe the federal government picks and chooses who they want to go with. They have an unlimited resources. And if they're coming at you, you have to be very careful of what you're doing, sending out emails. Like Roger got onto a big stage and started challenging them. I didn't do anything wrong, come after me. And making threats like that, you get a federal prosecutor. Is that right? Now we're going to do it. Whether we're right or wrong, they're going to come after you.
Well, so let me ask you this, John. Now, was found guilty of was lying to Congress. Now, we've seen James Clapper and John Brennan. There's no objective way that you can look at their testimony before Congress and think that they were truthful. And I would argue that the things they were lying about, like warrantless wiretapping of Americans, like spying on senators and things of that nature, like these black ops CIA torture sites abroad, I would argue that that's much more significant than his communications with Randy Credico, and yet none of those people were ever charged. And now the statute of limitations is up on them. We can never charge them.
Oh.
Doesn't it look to you that Roger may have been singled out here?
Why is it up?
Because it's 5 years. It's been 5 years, more than 5 years.
Frank, I couldn't agree with you more about them lying. The head of the CIA and the FBI lying? I mean, this is what they do. It is unbelievable. Like, I follow the left wing, MSNBC, CNN. They used to be against what the CIA did and the FBI. Now they're brought on to these television stations as experts who have overthrown governments, who have sent letters to Martin Luther King to commit suicide, who had COINTELPRO, but now they're being projected by the left as, oh, these institutions, we have to stand by them. And of course Clapper, and of course Brennan and Comey, oh, they should be just taken at face value. Are you kidding me? This is the FBI and the CIA. We shouldn't take anything they say at face value.
Well, on that note, by the way, if we can cue up the video of Ambassador Taylor in his testimony on Wednesday, if we have that anywhere.
SOT5.
Yeah, so Ambassador Taylor, who is a non-political guy, he, I didn't get an impression that he was Democrat or Republican. He goes before the House Intelligence Committee or the House Impeachment Committee, and he says the following about Ukraine. Listen to this.
If we find that the President of the United States abused his power and invited foreign interference in our elections, or if he sought to condition, coerce, extort, or bribe an ally, if this is not impeachable conduct, what is?
We have Ambassador Taylor? All right, well, so that was not Ambassador Taylor, but
That was not SOT5.
basically,
I can tell you that.
he went on and he was talking about what a great ally Ukraine is. George Kent even compared the Ukrainians to the Minutemen. Do you think it's wise for us to be providing lethal aid to Ukraine in the first place to help prop up a government that took power based on an American-backed coup?
Well, they read out the first phone call today. That they read that into the record. Trump, who can't help being Trump, in the phone call, this is what he says. Now, he could bring up about Crimea. He could bring up about the Russian invasion on eastern Ukraine. This is what he says to the president of the Ukraine. When I owned Miss Universe, they always had great people. The Ukraine is always very well representative. He can't help himself. He's bringing up to the president of Ukraine, hey, I used to run that. You got great broads over there. You were in the Miss Universe contest.
I don't think he said they got great broads over there.
More or less.
He said,
well, I'm like, shit, I'm misinterpreting maybe.
You are misinterpreting, right. You're exaggerating. He said, when I had the pageant, I used to go over to Ukraine, and there were great people over there.
Well, yeah, but why would you bring up the Ukraine?
They're both TV stars. This guy, everybody's making a big deal about there should be all this
countries
pomp
are being
and circumstance.
invaded, bombs are going off, and he's worried about the Miss Universe contest?
Come on. I think
Go ahead.
No, I just think it's we're really treading along dangerous territory when we're deciding to take Russia's neighbor, who has the second largest stockpile of nuclear weapons, and instead of saying to Russia, you know what, we're going to try and get along with you, we're going to give the nation that you're currently in the midst of hostilities with, we're going to give them a whole bunch of lethal aid, so that it's not going to be enough to beat you, but just so that you have to keep muddling along in Ukraine. I have a difficult time seeing as how this is a win for America, and this is a bipartisan public policy establishment. A little bit later, maybe we'll play you some of the video from George Kent and Ambassador Taylor comparing these Ukrainians to the Minutemen. John, I want to commend you. You were not only featured on CBS Sunday Morning on Sunday, but you were featured in the Daily News, the Sunday Daily News this weekend, as part of this new art exhibit honoring veterans. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I had in the cab a very famous artist, and she said, can I take a picture of you and do a portrait? And that was all I heard. And 7 years later, I get an envelope, a mail, and she says, my project's complete. I went to every state in the union, and I did a portrait of a veteran from every state. Can you come down to South Carolina for the unveiling? And then CBS Sunday Morning got involved. There's a book out, a documentary, and it was an unbelievable privilege for me to be involved with that. But one of the highlights was, and I can just show you, I met the grandson of General Patton.
Wow.
And he gave me this coin.
Wow.
And it says, thank you. He said, from one soldier to another, I want to thank you for your service in the United States Army. And I was overwhelmed for the whole weekend, the way I was treated, and
That's
you
very
know, just to
impressive.
get something like that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
amazing.
Can you stick around a little later? I want to have you come back and mix it up with Rich Valdez.
Yeah. Where am I going? I drive a cab. Come on.
I've been carrying this.
Oh.
John
which
drives
is
an Uber.
Vocation, education,
yellow.
and training of service
Don't say Uber.
members.
Huh?
This is a company called Sharp Decisions, where they educate and train vets, like for new jobs and stuff. And the owner of the company, who employs hundreds and hundreds of vets, she asked me to carry this challenge coin. So
That's exactly what
I've been
was given to me.
carrying it
Yeah.
along with my high school Monsignor Farrell challenge coin. So my pocket's going to start getting heavy with all these challenge coins. But they're holding up a fist under the newly appointed hand signal list. I think that means we're at 0. But that's just for a couple minutes. Quick commercial break. We're coming back. Johnny McDonagh is going to come back and join us again later on to mix it up a bit. You stay right there. Gianno Caldwell is coming up next.